What's going on, everybody? I just wanted to go over my thoughts on the spy for the upcoming week. Before I get into the spy for the upcoming week, though, I want to just go over where we're at in the spy, how we got here, and some things that we should look for in moving forward when we're charting this. So, first thing that we have, I wanted to start with a blank canvas so that we can do this together. This is the Spy Monthly, and basically where you want to start at would just would be some trend lines, right? Just looking through the chart to see where we see trend lines that can all be drawn out for to find direction. So we have this trend that we obviously came out of in this was what 2020 2022. This was the bottom of 2022, right? So then we switched directions at the bottom of 2022, and now we got this one here, right? So this is more or less our trends, right? And now you see I left these wicks out because I don't want to be biased. So this actually goes from the first time that it hits a wick to the and then straight through. So here's another thing I like to do. I like to take these off. Let's just say we took those off, and I'd rather use like a ray tool, right? Because with the ray tool, I can't be biased, right? It's just where it comes down to, right? So if I start here, it's just it's wherever this comes down to, right? So those are my lines for that direction. And then this is my lines for this direction, right? So I'm trying to get like right up underneath of this wick right here, just so that you're on the same page as what I got going on. So um, what you're looking at right now is basically the trends for where we came from, right? And to where we're technically supposed to be going, right? So we got that. Now, another thing you can look at off this trend is this is the top of the trend, right? And then this is another uh, top of the next trend, right? And then we'll mark this off as being basically the bottom of the trend, right? All right. So now, just looking at this on the monthly, and you ask why is the SPY bullish, or why would I consider that as bullish? Is that we're bouncing off of this this trend line right here, right? So this is the 2022 trend line that's taking us up. Now, this one we didn't quite bounce off of yet, right? We bounce off of this one closer to, I guess, closer to 420, it says. But what do we close on this one? The low is 422.29. So yeah, I can see 420 happening here, which would complete this bounce. So I'm real strict on we have to touch the trend line. Not these gaps in between, not the space in between. We have to touch the trend line. So as you can see right here, there's a little gap in between the trend line and the wick right there still. So we're waiting for that wick to touch the bottom. So probably next week we'll probably dip down first and then bounce up, right? So that's the first thing that we we organize with this whole picture, right? Then we go down to the weekly. So when you step onto the weekly now, you actually see it a little better that we did tap this line. We did tap this line. 427, we did tap it. We did pin into it. But again, on the monthly, it's showing 420 could be our bottom, right? So if we scroll down to like 420 and look at 420, let's see the reason why 420 could be a possibility. So I want to go back to the beginning of this line real quick just to see if we have any wicks. Well, I'm way too far. It's right here. Just to see if we have any wicks that broke down through this line. Because anytime we have a breach, we now want to. I like to clone these lines, right? And I like to catch that breach, right? So as far as looking at the breach, this is what we got. But if we break down to the daily, because like I said, I want to keep breaking these charts down to see what's going on. Okay, so we break it down to the daily, and we see that this was the last breach, right? So we still can go down a little more on this one, right there, right? That's 422.25. It was like 422.29 that we broke away off of. But that's the first part. We found a major trend line, and we see that it bounced, and it's possibly holding on to another bounce right here. Now, this doesn't have to 100% happen, but 9 times out of 10, we usually follow the chart most of the way. So there's like volatility days and days that things just don't go the way that they should. Um, I think those are more days where they're like flipping switches or pulling triggers, however you want to look at it, to just stop people out of whatever plays they're in and all that. So now that we're here, we basically got the monthly set up, and we took a look at the weekly. Now we're on the daily. So now we're gonna break this down again, right? So just out of the daily, I'm gonna take some more horizontal lines real quick, and we're looking for we'll call them levels for now, but later on, as we go further into our trading journey, we'll start calling them what they actually are. And I'm not gonna get into that today, but just know that these are not just levels. It's more to this, right? So we got we got we got these levels set up, right? So now that I'm on the daily, I want to go down to like the 4 hour. So the daily and the weekly, or basically the daily and anything above the daily, that's going to give us our directions. That's going to tell us whether the market is moving up or if it's moving down, right? The monthly is really going to give us that picture that we need to see to determine whether we're going to go long or we're going to go short. That's what the monthly and the weekly is going to do for us. Now we want to come down to like the 4 hour. The 4 hour is where we're going 4 hour to 1 hour to 2 hour. That's where we're going to map out what we think is going to happen, right? Then we're going to go down to the 15, the 5, the 3, the 1 to give us like an entry on this play. So we had a little glitch just now on my computer. I don't know if it's going to get caught in the video or not, but whatever. So yeah, now we're on the 4 hour chart, right? So now we're dealing with more of the local play, right? So when I say local, I just mean what's here in our vision, I guess, like what our focus is on. Everything else back here, that matters more for um I guess like back testing and just seeing different levels that share similarities, I should say. So now we're on the 4 hour. We want to start doing the same thing, finding um, finding different levels. Like I said, we'll call them levels for now. That we want to look into for what's going on. So I'll change these right here. Instead of using horizontals, I use these rays, these horizontal rays, right? So now we're trying to find like the levels here. So now there are apps that not apps indicators that do this as well. I like to do it myself. Then I like to pull out the indicator to see if it matches up and to see if what I'm saying I'm like on the right path with this. So we automatically have this as our bottom, right? So that's a level right here, right? Then looks like we got call that one. Obviously we got those. We got this one. We'll have that one. We'll have that one. Now we really don't need to add any more. To be honest, we'll work with what we got right here, right? And I'll put one. I really don't want to call this one just because on the 4 hour, this is one or the daily. So once it breaks this level, like on the daily, then it should kind of push. But I'll put one here. So we want to break this level. Plus we want to get over this 460 if we want to like push up for all time highs or whatever. But we're still here in the local, or what I like to call the local, right? So basically what you're looking for here is every time we close over one of these levels, you want to look to possibly go long or short to the next level, up or down respectively, right? So if, let's say for instance, we're at 427.61 now, right? That's where we supposedly closed at, but I believe in the after hour it went up to like 428 or something like that. But or 429, matter of fact, it did go to 429 in the after hour. It bounced, it hit this line right here, right? Now let's say we get that pullback since it hit the line. If we cross this line right here, this white line, trend line, the first one, I would consider to go short. But this white line is real close to this yellow horizontal ray, this dash line, right? If we just peek under this, I wouldn't go short. But my radar opens up to say, all right, there's a possibility that we can go short and fill this right here, right? So that's down to 422.58, something like that. Now, a real good trader would say, if they don't think that it's going to break down and go further down, the risk to reward from here to here, it's not worth it, right? What would be better to do would be to wait for the price to come back here down to 422, down to 424, 420, whatever. If it is going to come back down, And once it comes back down, then I would look to play this double bottom right here, right? Play this possible double bottom right here that could show up if if this plays out right, right? So the possibility would be for this to drop back down here. Boom, double bottom off of this. Bam, run up to here. This would be our first point, something like this, right? Then I would expect maybe a move down here and then a move up to the next point. So my target is like 442, something like that. And then we come back down. So that's my thought process on everything that's going to happen for next week. Um, so I'm also like anybody who knows me or knows how I trade, I'm huge, huge on chart patterns, right? So when you look at this, the first thing that I see is like this slanted dip, right? So first off, I would just look to call that uh, descending triangle or descending wedge, right? Just from the start, just because I see this, you can even say this, right? Because technically, I think this is more it, right? So you got that, right? Then you got this downtrend right here, right? Right. So we had this descending wedge here. We're breaking out of the wedge here. Boom. And then it should rise up. Now we can go in deeper to this and see like why didn't this just break out and keep going? Why did it break out here and then come back here, right? So what happened right here in this section is we had a rejection, right? This rejection right here. What did we reject off of? If we go to the daily, no, go to the weekly. If you go to the weekly, and that's why I say you gotta flip through all these charts and stick around, and you'll learn all these terms that I'm talking about and everything else as well. But right here, you got a fair value gap, right? So you got a bearish fair value gap at that, right? So what happened basically was on the weekend. I said the weekend, the weekly, the price bounced up and tapped the fair value gap. Next thing it's going to do is drop back down. You know what I'm saying? So it hits the fair value gap and it bounces down, or it breaks into the fair value gap, grabs the liquidity, and then drops down again. So there's there's there is a big possibility that we get this bounce, we end up somewhere inside of here, this fair value gap, and then the market just dumps, right? Because that's usually what happens. We run into fair value gaps, grab liquidity, then go the other way. So if it was a bullish fair value gap, um, see if I can find an example right here. Maybe right here is a bullish fair value gap. So like if we connect all these wicks, all these candles together. So from here down to let's say here would be fair value, right? And as you can see, it bounced off of the wick or bounced off the fair value gap right here and then goes up. So fair value gaps are sort of like magnets. They get pulled back or get pulled to, and then they like slingshot you out of there. They shoot you back out of there. So so when you see this fair value gap up top here and we tapped it and we just bounced back, then you understand what happened here on the daily with why did we go up and not keep pushing up, right? So that's where why we back down off the daily. Now, um, what was I gonna say? Back down. Okay, so another thing I like to point out is the breakout reversal retest. I wanted to make sure I was saying that right. So the breakout reversal retest. So what that is, and I don't know if that was just like my own um, knowledge being put together for me to come up with it like that to say breakout reversal retest, or if that's a thing that people talk about. But just over the years of me trading, I've noticed this, and this is, to me, I feel like you won't find this too much anywhere because I haven't had anybody or come across anybody who talks about it. So the breakout reversal retest is basically this: we broke out of this wedge, right? We got to the breakout point, and then we reverse. Where do we reverse to? Reverse right to where we break out at, right? So if I take some arrows real quick and point this out, you got this, right? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't draw it far enough. I'll fix that, right? You got this right. So not sure if you really can see that, but let me see if I could zoom in on that for you so that you can see it exactly what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Let's see if I'm doing this the right way, man. Give me a second. I don't think I'm doing this right. Give me a second. I know I'm playing with my stream now, trying to do something, but let's just skip it. I'll just zoom in here so you can see it. But I was trying to zoom in with the on the stream so that you can see it side by side. But basically, what I'm saying is, now this is the daily that you're seeing this on, but this wedge is coming down right here. Let's call this the correct wedge. Then you see right here in this corner, this is where we break out of that wedge. Then you see right here, this is where we come back and retest that same breakout, right? Technically, we should bounce from here, but there's nothing saying that we can't drop down first and then bounce again. So that's what it looks like from the daily. If we come down to like the hourly, come down to the hourly, you can see higher highs and higher lows, right? That's saying that we should start moving up. So if I take this line, draw this line here, this is technically how we should be bouncing up all the way up to 444, 445, whatever. And then we'll see what happens from there. Will we dump? Will we pump? Whatever. So that's my thought process on what's going on with the SPY for next week. If I were to take this trend line here real quick, we could do this too, right? And let's change this color. Break up all the red. Let's do blue. Really can't see the blue too much. The yellows clash. Let's do the blue. Fuck it. Excuse my language. But yeah. So now we see this trend line coming from the top, and it kind of works out with the level that I said, right? Then I say 444, 443. If this bounces here and it rides this out, we get like a straight move up. You know what I'm saying? We hit exactly where I'm looking at, right? We don't hit a straight move up and we take time to go over, right? We still end up hitting like 444, 440, 443 by the time we get over here, right? And this is like, if we're looking at dates, this is only more or less the first week of November, right? For us to hit 442, right? So I'm thinking we'll probably bounce. We should be below this line, and we should kind of follow this line up. You know what I'm saying? That's just what I'm thinking of off of what we got going on here. Just looking at the chart, so that's my thought process on the SPY for next week, and drop a few other tickers out here that I'm looking at, but for the most part, I'm leaning more towards that we're temporarily bullish. Now, if this all goes against me and none of it happens, or not to say none of it happens, just to say that it drops down, my next target is 420 to 418 or 417. So that's my next target on the downside. But we would have to break 420, 422, 420, maybe 424. I would get a starter position, but 423 I would really short it to 417 for sure. But as of now, I'm long, hopefully up to 442, and then we'll figure it out from there. So that's my thought process on SPY, and hope it makes you guys some money. Remember to set your stop losses. Remember to take profits. Don't get caught up in the whole diamond hands and paper hands thing. We all live different lifestyles. What I'm holding for might not be what you're holding for. So when your lifestyle fits the need to take a profit, take the profits. Stay green. All right, until the next video, peace.